They've been lying to us all along, everyone. The whole darn culture's been lying to us. Every time you got to another decade birthday and they brought out those black balloons to tell you that your life was getting ready to end when you turned 20, when you turned 30, 40, 50, they lied. The data tells us that. What data? Well, it turns out that enough of us have now lived long enough that we have data across a lifetime. And the data says your best decade will actually be from 60 to 70 years old. I know you don't believe it, but the data don't lie. Your second best decade, from 70 to 80 years old. We only know this because they've been collecting data across a lifetime on countless people. And people say, well, how can that be? Because we know when you lose your youthful vitality and your good looks and your slim figure, it's like, well, that doesn't matter. What does matter, the data tells us, is that you've become at home with yourself. You've made peace with your life. You've reconciled any number of things. And the result of that is you are likely to thrive in those 2 decades from 60 to 80. But there's other cool data here. It turns out there's 3 halves to life. Actually, that means you get a bonus half just in case you don't follow the math. Here's what we've learned. The first half is about up until the age of 50, 48, 50. And the developmental assignment psychologically is to build your portfolio. Get a career, learn some skills, a family, find a community, get involved in things. And what the data shows is that the stronger you build your portfolio, the better off it will carry you into the second and third half. So when I coach people, it's like, man, get out there and learn some stuff, try some stuff, do things that make you uncomfortable, acquire some experience, fall on your face. All of those things build this really robust portfolio of yourself. Because it turns out that the first half of life is defined by our ability to create this robust portfolio. So what happens in the second half? That's up until the age of 65. So about 15 years, which I know doesn't work mathematically, but they still call it the second half of life. The point or purpose of the second half in life is a giant shift in focus. The focus shifts to determining how you can best utilize that wonderful portfolio you've built. What am I going to do with myself? Because it turns out between 56 and about 62, everything begins to come together. Our wisdom, our knowledge, our experience, all those things we've succeeded and failed at, it all comes together. So we are at our very best between about 56 to 62. All of that stuff has accumulated and brought us to the apex of what it is to be fully realized. Actually, we don't fade after that. That's part of what the data tells us, but I'm going to get there in just a moment. What about that bonus third half of life that starts about 65? Well, it turns out that the developmental assignment changes yet again. For the third half of life, the assignment is called the soul's journey home, which does not mean about dying. It means that you incarnated with a purpose. And now that you've built this strong portfolio, fulfilled it as best you're able, the focus turns inward to determine how you can best be generative, is the word they use. How do I most utilize this being, this purpose, this soul, this psyche? How do I use this in the service of something far greater than me? So it's an inside-out job. So that's the third half of life. Now, here's the crazy part. We've come to believe that one dies over a long, slow, steady decline. You know why that is? It's because we have forgotten that the most important thing our body is queued up for is relevance, purpose, and meaning. So as long as this is what the data shows, as long as we continue to have purpose, meaning, function, Our vitality is fueled by what we're feeding it, which is I got purpose, I got meaning, I got places to go, things to do. I'm whatever age I am, but I got work that's in front of me. And the result is that our physiology responds and we continue to flourish until, on the average, the last 30 days. It looks like this. We peak and then we stay. And then when we're done, we're out of here. It turns out that that long, slow, awful decline into decrepitude is actually not what we're designed for. Quick story about this. My Uncle Norman died last year at the age of 90. And my cousin Mike told me Norman was one of those guys who he'd done this deal. He was pushing a wheelbarrow full of firewood that he had split himself across the backyard 3 weeks before he literally dropped dead. And Mike said it was amazing. He was vital. He was out in the deer blind every morning meditating because he didn't want to kill deer anymore. He was delivering meals to elders. He's 90, delivering meals to elders. And then he reached the end and he was gone. So what's the message for us? Well, first of all, we've been being lied to. The best years of your life aren't backward, they're forward. If we build a strong portfolio in the first half of life, if we find a way to really take advantage of that portfolio in the second half of life, and if in the third half of life, we go all in on fulfilling the most important purpose that is deep within us. And the way the psychologists talk about that is they ask, you need to answer the question, what matters most?